Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and greetings to everyone. My name is Muhammad Nur Faisal Baharudin, and in this video, you are going to learn more about the Massive Open Online Courses or MOOC for Bsr255, which is Building Surveying Practice 2. Under module number 1, Investigation of Building Elements Defect and Method of Building Condition Assessment. In particular, topic 1.4, which is entitled Building Defect on the Building Fabric and Components. But before anything else, I would like to remind you to please be on your most comfortable place, and of course, I demand for your attention during this learning session. Let's start. Guys, before we go into detail regarding on this particular topic, which is defects on the building fabric, let's take a look regarding on common building defects by Urban Renewal Authority, Hong Kong. Enjoy! Before we proceed to the next slide, hopefully you can get some overview regarding on building defects at our residential building or office building. Let's move to the next slide, which is Topic Learning Outcome or TLO. For your information, at the end of the class, students or learners are able to identify the types on the building fabric. This is the TLO number 1. For TLO number 2, students or learners are able to identify defects on the building fabric. In this module, particularly in this topic, this is the topic content outline that we will explore during this learning session. First of all, we will look into defects on the building fabric. The second one, in terms of topic content outline. And then the third one, why building fabric is important. Okay, and then the next one is introduction on the building fabric, the definition of the building fabric, and then for C, we will go to the building fabric element, and then for D, we will look at the typical building fabric defects, and then for the fifth one, we will look at the resources available, followed by self-assessment quiz, self-assessment feedback, as well as assess current performance and recap session. We are going to move to the next slide, which is why building fabric is important. First of all, we have to look into the main function of the building fabric. For your information, building fabric plays an important role in protecting the occupants of the building from the elements and helping to regulate the indoor temperature. In addition, the building fabric as well plays a critical role in energy efficiency by keeping heat inside during winter and outside during summer, so the fabric helps to minimize the need for heating and cooling. To fulfill the requirements of the strength ability, which is providing a structural support against internal and external loads and forces. Other than that, to environmental control, which is in the context of exchange of water, air, condensation and heat between the interior and exterior of the building, as well as to make a good appearance to the building, which is to make the building look attractive while still performing support and control function. We are moving to the next slide, which is how we are going to discuss regarding about the building fabric. For your information, according to Code of Practice of Building Surveying preparing by Royal Institution of Surveyors Malaysia, in his Code of Practice, 2nd edition 2018, describe the components of the building envelope or building fabric can be categorized into 3 main categories. First of all, in terms of external and site condition. The second one, fabric and component, as well as building services. Under external and site condition, it will describe site and ground condition, exterior element of the building, parking areas, driveway, covered car park, and others. While on the fabric and component, it will describe the components of the building envelope itself, which is inclusive of the rooftop, parapet wall, external and internal facade, apron, perimeter drain, beam, column, floor, staircase, and others. Lastly, for the building services, it will describe a building mechanical and electrical services, for example, hot and cold water supply, air conditioning and mechanical ventilation system, sanitation and cleansing system, sewerage system, fire protection system, and others. We move to the next slide, which is discussing on the definition of the building fabric. According to Designing Building 2022, a building fabric or building envelope refers to structural materials, cladding, insulation, finishes, and others. It is actually enclosed the interior of the building, separating from the internal from the external element. It is common understanding that the building envelope is actually a combination of roof, combination of wall elements, and the combination of window and doors, as well as the foundation. What is the main function of the building fabric? First of all, to protect the building occupant from the weather such as wind, rain, and solar radiation, and then to provide security for occupants and the building contents. Guys, now we are discussing about the building fabric elements. Based on the RICS or Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyor Home Buyer Report in 2010 has declared several building fabric elements that particularly involved in the normal construction. For example, in terms of roofing system, it will covered by roofing materials and roofing finishes, which is asphalt and composition, metal standing seam, concrete tile, metal or aluminum shake, wood shake, or concrete and clay tile. That one is actually for pitch roof. However, for the flat roof, it will can be covered by vinyl membrane or can be covered by roll of flat roof. Furthermore, after we are having a shelter or roofing system on the top of the building, now we are discussing about the types of wall that normally used in the construction. Generally, a building can be categorized into two main categories, which is a precast element and non-precast element, which is cast on site. First of all, in terms of precast element, all those elements been manufactured at factory. However, in terms of a cast in situ, for example, a normal brick wall or facing brick, all the construction method have been finished and complete on site. Guys, now we are focusing to discuss regarding about the typical building fabric defects. After we are recognized regarding about the building component and building elements in terms of the building fabric, now we have to identify the typical building defects that commonly occur at that particular element. First of all, in terms of roof elements, this is some common defects associated with roof. First of all, weakening of timber roof structure that caused by infestation, the natural causes, biological and mechanical factors. If you look at a photo A, a fungus infection of the timber roof could be due to the permanent damp, dirt collection, and natural causes. And then for the photo B, it can caused by external atmospheric action, which is caused by the strong wind and rainwater. And if you look at a photo D, that is actually caused by biological action inside the roof. For the next typical building fabric defects, now we are focusing on the walls element consisting of internal and external walls. Here are some of the most common defects in internal and external walls. For example, plaster crack, rising dampness, stain marks, and method to identify crack measurement. Based on the photo by JKR 2013, it was identified a typical random shrinkage crack in the layer of plaster on a wall. Next, this is a dampness and stain mark symptoms that actually occur at the most common wet areas. After that, we are moving to the next photos. It was identified a shrinkage crack in the layer of plaster along interface between beam and brick wall. For your information, it is the nature of many construction materials to crack as they age and as they expand and contract, particularly with exposure to moisture as they get wet and dry out alternately. There are cracks in common areas, such as for exterior and internal walls, and at the corners of doors and window and ceiling, which is usually in the middle of the ceiling. Crack defect have classified of visible damage to walls. There is having a different state in category of damage and degree of damage. which have been comprehensively explained by Dickinson and Thornton in 2006 in their books Cracking and Building Movement by RICS. In this table, it is particularly explained regarding category of damage and degree of damage based on crack width. It can be negligible, very slight, moderate, severe, and very severe crack. How we are going to monitor a crack width? Normally, we are using a simple instrument, which is telltale crack monitoring, as to monitor a crack development, as shown in the photos. Now we are discussing on the third element of typical building fabric defects, which is doors and windows defects. Basically, windows and doors defects are often the first defect that the owners notice. Here are some of the common defects associated with windows and doors. For example, windows leak at the corners, improper lapping of building paper, inadequate stucco thickness. For your information, timber defects are classified into two major groups, which can be categorized under non-biological and biological deterioration. Non-biological deterioration consists of a physical decay, excessive moisture content, dimensional instability, and chemical deterioration. These defects are mainly caused by the timber in service being subjected to the environmental exposure. The most common destructive timber biological deterioration is those due to dry rot, wet rot, as well as insect attraction. Typically, timber decay may occur at roof timber, floor timber, and joinery timber, such as for door frame and window frame. Guys, now we are going to move to the fourth element in the typical building fabric defects, focusing on shielding defects. Particularly, some of the common types of shielding defects can be water stains, paint start to peel, shielding cracks, shielding begins to bow, stalactite and stalagmite formation, as well as efflorescence. Most of the possible causes that contribute to this particular problem is because due to waterproofing failure, leakage of roof, leakage of water supply, leakage of sewerage system, and other related sources. Finally, we are approaching a last element in identifying a typical building fabric defects. Foundation defects may cause of unstable foundation due to movement of the soil, faulty design, overloaded, and natural disaster. For your information, foundation is necessary to support a building and all of its loads that are within or on it. The foundation should be made from material that will not fail and lose its stability in the presence of ground or surface water. Here are some of common types of foundation defects. For example, unequal settlement of soil or masonry and transpiration of trees and shrubs. A selection of foundation types also give a significant impacts to the building stability. Guys, now let's take a look regarding on resources available. If you want to have some extra reading, you can further refer on the Code of Practice for Building Surveying RISM 2nd edition 2018 and Peter Glover 2018 Building Surveys. Other than that, you may also refer to Malcolm Hollis 2000 on Surveying Building 4th edition. In addition, RICS Home Buyer Report 2010, as well as Handbook for Condition Inspection by Jabatan Kerja Raya 2018. Guys, now it's time to take a self-assessment quiz. Please click the link below to answer the quiz or activity 1.4 in UFuture. Let's take a challenge and good luck! So how about your score? Hope you are enjoying. Guys, for the next agenda, to access your current performance, please click on the link below to answer the quiz or test or assessment 1.4 in the UFuture. Good luck! Guys, I think That's all for today's lessons. Before we end this session, let's recap what we have learned today. First, we are already take a look regarding on defects on the building fabric. The second one, the topic content outline. The third one, why building fabric is important. The fourth one, we are already know regarding the introduction on the building fabric, the definition on the building fabric, as well as all the building fabric elements. And then the most important thing in this topic, to learn about the typical building fabric defects. In a nutshell, it should be pointed out that entire buildings are subjected to the various forms of defects, failures, deterioration, and variation. It is significant to apprise each defect and failure in every part of building and find out the primary causes of each individual defect and failure. Then remedy them correctly as to ensure a good building performance. Thank you for your kind attention and bye!